Hey YouTube, it's Jay. Wanted to welcome you back to my channel on pool, billiards, pool shots, and we're going to be using a new format. Rather than these long chalk talks, I'm going to focus on one shot at a time. I'm going to talk about the principle behind the shot, and I'm going to execute the shot, and then I'm going to show you how to use it in other situations aside from the one that I described. If you like the new format, hit like, hit subscribe, ding the notification bell, and we're going to have a really good time with this. This afternoon, they're going to be recovering my table, but before they do, I wanted to show you this shot because it's one that if I do it multiple times, it can hurt the table. It's part of the Extreme English series, and basically what it is for a specific kind of situation. And this and I'll show you the starting situation. I'm going to show you some things that you can do that are pretty cool to take advantage of your spin and the way you can control the ball in order to get better leaves. So the situation is this: play a 9-ball. You're straight in on the ball before the 9. That is straight into the pocket. How many times has that happened to you? How many times have you been exactly straight in on the ball and needed to get to the other end of the table? Well, most people think of this as you have two choices. One is you can try to cheat the pocket and use spin to try to go down the table and get a decent shot on the 9. And on a faster cloth, on a newer cloth, that would work just fine. Or if that path is blocked, the other way is to draw back and go try to cheat the pocket a little bit and draw back and go the length of the table with draw, which is harder to do. That was actually pretty horrible. Let's do that one again. This is a tougher shot to make. You have to cheat the ball a little bit more, plus your spin is going to be fighting against you, and you're trying to get enough draw to get down to the other end of the table. And of course that's tough too. Faster table, I end up maybe down here. Still makeable, but not perfect. So what do you do? Is there another choice? Well, the answer is yes, there is another choice. I'm going to pull these back just a little, get a little easier angle on the cue. The other choice is jack up on it and basically masse down the table. A whole lot easier, right? Didn't think about that when you were shooting, did you? So that shot was actually shown to me by CM Lee, who owned CM's place down in Seminole, Florida, and he attributed it to CJ Wiley was the one that showed it to him. You can see it works great. It's a great shot. It's not that hard to make. You didn't see me struggle with it. There are some nuances that you have to pay attention to when you shoot that, and I'm going to move the camera and set it up over the top so that you can see it. But effectively what I'm doing is I'm hitting down on the cue ball in the bottom right quadrant of the cue ball, okay, which makes the ball spin. If I hit down on the bottom right quadrant, it makes the ball spin to the right, but the force of it causes the cue ball to go forward, and the contact with the ball is what makes it shoot down the table. It stops the forward momentum, and then the spin takes over and takes it down the table. So that's what's happening there. So let me set this up again. I'm going to take a second, I'm going to move the camera, and I'm going to show you how this shot is done from a view from above. Okay, so to show you what I was just explaining to you about the spin, I'm hitting it on the bottom right corner of the ball. Remember, when you elevate the cue, your center line of the cue becomes the same angle that you elevated. So if you're at a 45-degree angle, then the center of the cue is at a 45-degree angle to the table. So I'm elevating and I'm coming all the way up, and I'm effectively, when I hit it, the cue ball is squirting out of this position forward, and it's spinning really hard this way because that's where the Masse is. So then it hits it. Now notice it's going to throw it. Okay, so as the cue ball's spinning, remember that whole gear action, if it's spinning to the right, it's going to throw that ball. The gear action of it is throwing it to the right. Okay, so when I hit this, that's the one ball is going to go off to the right. So I need to aim more to the right. I need to aim more over here. I need to overcut it just a little bit because it's a short distance. I need to overcut it so that the throw will send that ball down the rail. And in doing it, I'm going to end up with the cue ball traveling down the table. And let me go ahead and shoot that. Okay. And I'll slow that down for you. And by the way, I'm going to fall in the corner pocket at the top of the table because I hit it just perfect to do that. But again, I'm taking a straight in shot. I'm creating an angle. So if this is straight in, right? And I'm going to shoot it off to the right a little bit. Now I'm getting a little bit of angle, which is going to help my cue ball in the direction I want it to go. And the cue ball is going to help push that ball away from the angle that I'm aiming, which is, you know, about in here. It's going to push it away from it, and the object ball is going to go in, the cue ball is going to go straight up the table, usually towards the corner pocket, basically, you know, in this area. It's not going to go straight up the table if I'm hitting on the bottom right court portion of it. Now, if we're closer, I can actually go up higher because I don't need as much forward momentum, and I can go straight down the table to the middle. But this works even at a distance. Just remember, the further apart they are, the harder it is to get this right because you have to judge the loss of momentum. When they're close together like this, straight in, this is an easy shot all day long. And if you have it in your arsenal, you'll be more successful at pool. Or you'll be more successful at this shot and getting that leave on the other end of the table. So remember, you can, and this works in other ways too. By the way, you can apply this same principle in other places. So I'm going to put it over here for the corner pocket. Let's say you got pretty out of line here, right? Okay. So you could slow roll this one into the pocket, but let's, just for the sake of argument, let's say your next ball's here and the 9's sitting right there, right? So now if you slow roll it, there's a pretty good chance you're going to end up behind the 9. Maybe there's some other balls out on the table also that are over here that are going to also be blockers for that nice slow shot. Well, one thing you can do here is that same exact thing we just did. Basically, aim like you're going to make the shot, but then come up high. Come up high. There we go. So you see, so you can use that same principle of using that extreme English just to hold the cue for your next shot, so you don't have to deal with all this traffic. So there are a lot of different places that comes in play. It especially comes into play when the cue is frozen. So on a frozen shot, if the cue and the object ball are actually frozen, they're actually touching, you are allowed to drive through that. So I could nip shot through it, and that's totally legal, even though it would be a push shot if they were not, or it would be a double hit if they were not touching, but because they're touching, you're allowed to stroke through the cue. Well, what if I do something like this to get a leave? There's nothing wrong with that. So there are a lot of these shots where you can take advantage of elevating the cue to get a leave. And of course, that same shot, if you're going down the rail here and you need to get to that rail and there's all sorts of stuff in the way, you can do the same kind of Masse shot to go get your leave. So there are a lot of applications for this, and once you get out of the habit of thinking like the ordinary, you start to find these shots that where you can take advantage of the basic principle and use it in other shots. I've used this shot so many times using Masse to get my leave off a straight in shot that it is absolutely crazy. If you have the misfortune of getting straight in, you can take advantage of your knowledge of this shot in so many different ways to get the leaves that you want. Just think about it as an alternative. Now, obviously, this is more dangerous to do. It's riskier than just shooting the ball straight in or drawing it back. However, if you have to get all the way to the other end of the table, quite often this shot is the easiest way to do that. So there's a shot for you today. I'm going to do another video in just a second that I will also put up today, which is how to hold and use the mechanical bridge, along with some special situations that comes in. And then I'm going to, as I said this afternoon, they are re-leveling the table. I will have brand new Simona's 860 on this table by the end of the day, and we're going to get into it and really start going into shooting. I will talk to you later, and have a great day. Don't forget, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications of the new videos. They will be coming out regularly now that I've got the glasses and we're getting the table recovered.